Cryptid Hunters, Chapter 10, The Backpack. Marty had taken a long hot shower and was sitting on the floor of his bedroom trying on a pair of dry sneakers. Grace was sitting on his bed. "Did you really think the dolphins were sharks?" she asked. "I sure did. I'm happy to have feet to put into these shoes. For a while there I thought they were at the bottom of the lake going for a run without me." "I take it that you still want to go to the Congo?" "Duh de jour," Marty answered, meaning duh of the day, one of his and Luther's favorite sayings. He stood and looked out the window. "I have to admit that when I was in the middle of the lake being torn apart by sharks, there were a few seconds when even Omega Prep was looking pretty good. But now that I'm whole again..." He walked over to the suitcase and found a t-shirt. "I doubt Wolf is going to take us to the Congo now. I really blew it." Grace was just thinking how she had blown it by fainting when Marty needed her most, and she also felt terrible for not trying harder to stop him from leaving. But what she felt even more guilty about was her first thought upon believing he had drowned. "How did Wolf lose his leg?" Marty asked. "He wouldn't say," Grace answered. Wolf was waiting for them in the library. He had a fire burning in the fireplace and a thermos of hot chocolate on the table in front of the sofa. Sitting next to the thermos was a small backpack and a miniature camp stove with a bottle of fuel. The twins stared at the objects in mumbled silence. The backpack and camp stove had belonged to their father. "Where did you get them?" Grace whispered. "In the Amazon," Wolf said. "At the crash site. I flew there as soon as I heard about it. I just got back yesterday." "You've been looking for them for 6 months?" Marty asked. Wolf nodded. "I know it may not seem like it, but my sister and I were very close. And Timothy was a good friend." He took a deep breath. "I'm afraid the pack is as close as I've come to finding them." Marty had intended to march into the library and start right in on his Congo campaign, but he hadn't expected this. He brushed his fingers across the faded blue fabric of the backpack. His father had carried his notebooks and tape recorder in it, as well as a little camp stove, which he used to brew coffee. He couldn't remember a time his father didn't have it with him. The pack was empty except for the camp stove and your father's journal, which was all but ruined. And this. He reached into the pack and pulled out the Mother's Day card they had sent. Paper clipped to it was a sketch Marty had drawn of himself and Grace walking along a beach holding their mother's hand. The twins stared at the card and were nearly overcome with sadness. "I haven't given up on finding your parents," Wolf said. "I have people down there looking right now, and they'll continue to search until every lead, however small, has been exhausted. I'm in constant touch with them. If your parents are alive, we'll find them." "Do you think they're alive?" Grace asked. "To be honest," Wolf answered quietly, "I don't know. 6 months is a long time, but they must have survived the crash or we would have found their bodies at the site. They either wandered off on their own, or else they were injured and someone came along and moved them. There's a number of uncontacted tribes in the area. They might be in one of their camps recuperating. I spent most of my life looking for things people don't believe exist, and I've had a pretty good success rate. The only reason I came back was because of you and to take care of some pressing business." He looked them both in the eye. "I haven't given up on finding them, and I don't want you to give up either." "We won't," they said in unison, feeling better about their parents' disappearance than they had in months. "Good." Wolf took a deep breath. "I know you both have a lot of questions for me, but let's clear up this Congo thing first." "I think you should take us with you," Grace said. Marty stared at his sister in amazement. He had never liked her more than at that moment. Grace was equally surprised. Until she blurted this out, she had wanted to return to school. Perhaps nearly losing Marty had changed her. Perhaps she was finally ready to confront some of her fears. "I'm with Grace," Marty added quickly. "I know my stunt at the lake this morning might have scared you a little, but I promise to follow your rules to the letter from now on." "It scared me a lot," Wolf said. "But your swim has nothing to do with my decision. I made up my mind last night. I can't take you to the Congo." "Why not?" Grace asked with a mixture of disappointment and relief. "First, you have more than a month of school left. My plan was to hire a tutor and have you finish up the year right here. Unfortunately, Laurel and I have to get to the Congo right away, so there's no time for me to find a tutor. If I'd known about the egg, I would have waited and had you come after school was out. I'm afraid I'm going to have to send you back to Switzerland." Marty was dumbfounded. He had just about given up on Wolf taking them to the Congo, but he didn't think they would be sent back to the school. Grace was not at all surprised by Wolf's decision. He had said as much the day before in the library, but now that she had changed her mind, she wasn't going to give up without a fight. "We learn a lot more in the Congo than we would at any school," she said. "That's probably true," Wolf admitted. "And you told Laurel that you were planning on taking us to Lake Tele eventually anyway," Grace argued. "Why not get it over with?" "You were going to take us to Lake Tele?" Marty answered, wondering what else Grace had neglected to tell him. "Yes, I was," Wolf said, "and I promise I'll take you there one day, but not this trip. It's too dangerous." Marty was still confused. "Why do you want to take us to Lake Tele?" "I'm afraid the answer is going to have to wait until I get back. It's complicated." "Why can't we just stay on Cryptos?" Marty asked. "Everyone here has at least 2 full-time jobs, and there will be no one to watch after you." "We don't need babysitters," Marty protested. "I'm sure you don't, but I'll feel a lot better knowing you're at the school where it's safe. I've already contacted Dr. Beazle, and he's looking forward to your return." "I bet he is," Marty said. "I know this is disappointing, but I promise I'll make it up to you. When I get back, we'll start all over again." Wolf stood up. "Here's my new plan. We have a jet of sorts. Phyllis will fly Laurel and me to the Congo, then fly up to Switzerland and drop you and Grace off. When we finish at Lake Tele, we'll pick you up and take you back to Cryptos." "What if school isn't out yet?" he asked. "I'll take you back to Cryptos anyways, and that will be the last you'll ever see of that or any other boarding school again."